Teach your kids float fishing. Hi, my name's Roger Osborne, and in this video I'm going to show you how you can teach your kids to fish with a float. Float fishing is incredible. Even at my age, I absolutely love it. It's so exciting. It's very good for kids because they're engaged. It's so visual, and it's actually a really effective way to catch fish. So I'm down beside the lake. I've just had an awesome beach worming session with the Cash family in the previous video where I was teaching them how to catch beach worms. None of them had a clue. They'd never even, didn't know anything about beach worms at all, but 3 of them caught their first beach worm in their first session, which was fantastic. And now we're going to go and have a fish in the lake. So make sure that you like and subscribe if you're enjoying this content, and hit the notification bell. Also, the worms that we caught today in our beach worming session a little bit later, we're going to go and use those off the beach. I'm going to be teaching you, showing you how to take your family beach fishing. And I've got a special surprise for the Cashes because they've been so good in participating in these videos. They're just a great family. I really wanted to bless them. So I've organised a special gift for them, and I'm going to present them with that gift in just a few minutes. So I'm going to go and grab them. This family fishing series is designed for parents, complete with tips on the most effective ways to teach your kids how to fish. The main priority here is bonding with your family, and I want you to get the most out of your fishing trips together. The awesome thing about doing this is that not only will you build stronger relationships with the people you are responsible for, you'll have fun and learn important skills at the same time. I've put together a free PDF download with all the tips in this video, so stick around for that. I'd also love to hear any success that you've had with this, so please let me know in the comments what you think. You know, it's been so awesome having you guys and fishing together, and when we did that other batch of videos, it was just a fantastic day. You know, I really enjoyed it. It was very peaceful, relaxed, you know, low stress. And I know you guys, I remember we were fishing here and you caught a fish. It was awesome. And I wanted to, you know, show my appreciation and, you know, organise something for you guys. So I got a gift for you. So any guesses what you think it might be? What do you think? Fishing rods. Okay, well, that would be good, wouldn't it?
Oh, that's a bit big.
Any other guesses?
What about a sinker?
A sinker. A sinker. A sinker. A single sinker. What do you reckon?
Jet ski. Oh, no.
A jet ski. I think they're only about 15,000, aren't they, or something?
Not that too.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Look, maybe I shouldn't hold you in suspense any longer. So I will just be a second. I'm going to exit stage left, and I'll come straight back.
Oh my gosh.
Looks bigger than a sinker.
I think it might be a jet ski.
I think it's going to be.
It's a fold-up jet ski.
Yeah.
It's one of those. No, it's actually
007.
a blow-up jet ski.
Maybe
Okay,
it's
I'm
water
going
skis.
to open the box. Are you ready? Look at that.
Oh, wow.
So actually, there's 5 rods and reels.
Oh my gosh.
So I'm going to hand them out to you. There's one.
Oh,
Well, you want to hold that, Elizabeth?
Then there's another one which is the same.
Cool.
Then we've got these ones which are like a green colour.
There you go, Caleb. Wow.
Like that. You want to take that. And this one which is a bit bigger. This one's actually a light beach rod. I've actually got one of these that I've been using for the last few years. I use all the time.
Thanks, Roger.
So you've got 5 setups. I know there's 6 of you, so
Yeah. Cool.
So one of you'll have to watch. And then I actually put the line on the reels for you, and I've got the leftover line here, so you can use it for leaders, and so you don't sacrifice the main line when you want to tie traces and leaders and things. You've got the rest of that there. Now this particular one, Nathan, this is a 10-foot light beach rod. It's actually called a Maikuro 2, a Shimano Maikuro 2. And I could show you mine in my garage, but I use mine all the time. And I've caught so many fish on it. I actually really like it because it's so light. And matched with this reel, which is actually a Sedona C5000. And matched with this, if you hold that,
It's very light.
yeah, really light.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's fantastic for bream and whiting. I've caught a lot of salmon as well, which pull really hard when you catch them on a rod like that. So that's actually for beach fishing. The other 4 rods are essentially estuary rods, but we're going to use them in the next video that we do later. We're going to use these rods off the beach,
Okay.
basically because they're just easy for the kids to handle.
Yep.
They're not too heavy, not too long. So we'll have to actually unwrap them. They've all still got their labels and stuff on them. But and what have you got here, Grace? This one's called a scimitar. It sounds like a sword, doesn't it?
Mm.
I think that's what a scimitar is, isn't it?
Yep.
A sword. It's a fishing sword. So this is a great little rod, coupled with a scimitar 2500 reel, 2500 HG. Beautiful little fishing reels. So anyway, you've got some actually really good equipment that you can use.
Wow, guys.
Thank you.
Now there's 4 rods that would be good for the kids. So I'm thinking that this is a 7-foot rod. These ones are, that's a 6-foot rod. So I reckon that Caleb and Elizabeth should have those because they're going to be, and the ones that are slightly bigger would be good for Grace and Josh, where you can mix and match.
Cool. Thank you.
So I know that you'll get some. I know you get some good enjoyment out of them.
We will, won't
And-
we?
Yep.
So you can add that to whatever other fishing gear that you may have.
Yeah. No, that's fantastic.
That is awesome.
But
You
it
guys
means
can
that,
start fishing.
yeah.
Do Roger
We're
proud.
going to have to take some videos of us catching some fish to show Roger we can actually do it with these.
Super.
Yeah.
Alrighty, but what we need to do is I need to get some scissors so we can cut all the labels off, put them together because we're going to use them.
Cool.
What do you think, guys?
So we'll use your one later when we go beach fishing, and we'll use these 4 rods now.
Great.
That's
Yeah. Look at this. This is beautiful. You feel like this feels like it's a little desert island, doesn't it?
It does,
It's
yeah.
not a little beach. You've got the wind blowing on that side, the southerly breeze.
Yeah.
Whatever the weather may be, you can always find
Somewhere.
somewhere.
Yep.
When choosing a place to take your children float fishing in an estuary, make sure that you choose a spot that is protected from the wind and also out of a current, as in a channel of a lake or a flowing river. If fishing in the river, it is best to fish the slack water around the tidal change when there is very little water movement. It makes it much easier for kids if they can cast their float in the same spot while attracting the fish to your location.
Bit of bread frisbee.
Yeah, so I'm going to mush up some bread in the water. You want some of the bread to float and some of it to sink. The bread that sinks, fish like brim, different things, they love bread. So they'll come round. And because we're out of the wind, it's not going to blow away anywhere because we want the burley to stay where we're going to be casting our lines. That's the whole purpose. And we want to attract the fish and then cast our lines in the spot. See how I'm mushing it up a bit? The crusty bits will float. And normally it takes a few minutes to bring fish around. But I'm going to toss it where I've chucked it. Can you see where the weeds, you can see where the weeds finish?
Yep.
I've just cast that, I saw a fish out there. I've just tossed it just beyond the weeds. I'm going to, look, there's something else there. Just going to toss a bit of bread. It's moving a little bit with the breeze, but there's something going on out there.
That's why polarised glasses are good, so you can see into the water.
I didn't bring my glasses. I'm going to chuck a bit of bread out there. Now I'm going to put a couple of floats on the rods and then do a little bit more burley, but that bread floating around there, a few fish will start sniffing around. It would be a lot slower if we just chucked our lines out there with no burley. You would get bites, but probably not nearly as many as if we're doing this.
Yep.
Okay, so I'm going to get my gear, and whose rod is who are we going to do first? Oh, Josh was quick. Josh was quick, so. All right, Josh, so can you see here how it's got this little, when you're not using the line, you can see on the reel here, I'll just turn that around.
attached
actually.
underneath.
See, I've got the line underneath that little thing there,
Yep.
just so it doesn't spring off everywhere when you're not using it. So I'm going to take that off and thread it through the runners. Give your kids reasons behind each action, and if they understand the why, that will really help them to learn much faster. Like threading an eye of a needle, isn't it? So you notice when I did that, because that line's fresh, it's unfurling off the spool. I like to make sure that there's plenty of line on a reel when you first put it on, because once you've put the line on and cut it,
Yeah,
you're
not going
done.
to be adding more.
And I like to have the line kind of almost level with the lip of the spool, because then it aids you in your casting. You want to hold that, Josh?
Yep.
Awesome. Now I'm going to get some gear from over here. I just got a few little foam floats. Okay, so when you put a float on, when you're float fishing, you need to set the depth. The depth that you're going to fish. Can you see this? A little bit of rubber tubing. It's actually a bit of valve rubber, like what you use on a bicycle. If you go to a bike shop, you can buy valve rubber. And I've used this, I'll just wet it. That tastes good. No. And then what you do is you thread your line through the valve rubber, like that.
Yep.
And then you do it again. So you loop it round through a second time, like that. Okay, now that sits on your line and you can move it up or down the line. And then when we put the float on, okay, which it's got a small hole through the top, I'm just going to thread that line through the float. These are really inexpensive, these floats. You can buy them just about anywhere. So what happens is when you cast it out and your bait goes down, the float goes up to this point and you can set the depth. And if you want to put the bait deeper under the float, well then you slide your rubber further up the line. If you want to have it so you've only got it shallow under the float, if you're fishing for mullet. So the whole idea is you can determine how far underneath the float. Like for example, when your float is floating in the water like that, you want to have control over how far the bait is under the float. So you put that on first.
So if the fish grab it, will the float go under
Yes,
the water?
that's correct.
So then you can
Yep.
tell when to...
If you've grabbed that. I've just got a few little different things. My tackle box is very basic. Just 2 plastic jars. I'm just going to grab a swivel and a sinker. The next thing is, once you put your rubber stopper on, then you put a sinker on. Doesn't need to be a very big sinker. Okay, there you go. And then I'm going to tie on a swivel. Now these swivels are not that small. With this type of fishing you don't need a very big swivel, but it's not critical, the size of the swivel. Oops. So now I'm just going to tie the swivel on. Okay, so it's just your standard knot where you wrap that around about 5 times, like so. Then you wet it with your saliva, put the end of the line through the loop created near the hook, and then you pull it back through this hole. So you grab the end of the line, pull it back through that loop, and then just tighten it and pull it down like that. That's a very universal, easy knot. Like that. And then I'm going to use my teeth to bite the end off.
What sort of species of fish can we be going for with a rig like this?
Well, if you're fishing, the bait that I've got is bread and prawns. We're really mainly going to catch here mullet, brim, luderick. We may catch other species. You could catch, there's some edible sized snapper in here that would take that bait.
Okay.
Is there flathead?
Flathead, I have caught flathead on this type of setup, but less likely because they are a bottom dwelling fish.
Yeah.
And we're not having the bait on the bottom. However, I have caught them. We have our rubber stopper that sets the depth of the float. The float will go up to there in the water and it'll bob like that. We've got a small sinker above a swivel. The purpose of the sinker is to take our bait down to the desired depth. if we didn't have a sinker, the float would float there and the bait would just kind of waft on the surface and may eventually sink down, but not really where you want it. And then all we're doing after that is tying on a short leader with a hook. Now I'm just going to tie this on and then I'll show you what the end result is. Now this type of fishing is excellent off wharves, rock walls, harbours. Like at, for example, at Huskisson, you know the wharves at Huskisson where all the dolphin boats and everything are?
Yep.
Lots of kids, fishing with a float like this because you can set the depth so that the bait is 6 feet under. And one of the other great advantages of using it as a float is that you avoid getting snagged on the bottom. You can suspend your bait 2 feet off the bottom, 4 feet off the bottom, wherever you want it, and you don't get hooked on any rocks or anything like that.
That's great.
Make sure that you put the time in to learn first yourself. Then you can set your kids up for success and a fun day. This hook is a really small hook. We're using a small hook just because big hooks catch big fish, small hooks catch all fish. Many a big fish has been caught on a small hook, but it means that you can catch small and big fish. Okay, so now what we're going to do is, I'm just going to show you the first bait that we're going to use is just some bread. Now, whenever I use bread for bait, I always buy white, and I always get the thick toasty, because the centre part of the bread is just a bit thicker. If you have a thin slice, because if you have a look at this, you've got to feel this, guys. Feel how soft and doughy that is. Yum. You want the bread to be soft, because if bread is old and stale, you know how it just gets really dry and crumbly? It won't stay on the hook. It just, as soon as you chuck it in the water, it just falls off the hook. Ooh. So what I do here is I get a little, I use the middle of it, so I'm just pinching a little piece of bread out like that. So basically I'm going to get the hook, put the point of the hook into the middle of that bit, that you can see why it would be better having thick sliced bread rather than thin. And then you can see, you can't see the hook now, it's hidden in there. And what you do is the top part of the hook, the top part of the bread near the top of the hook, you just squeeze it there. But you don't squeeze the bottom part, because what happens when you cast that out, because it's not crushed, it fluffs up. But because you've squeezed the top part, you can see how that kind of goes hard and that on the top. That actually holds it on the hook. This is an awesome bait. I've caught thousands of fish. In my life I've caught thousands of fish fishing this way. Now what's going to happen when we cast this out is the sinker's going to carry this bait down and it's going to suspend it about this far underneath the float at first, because the bread sort of semi-floats, it'll go like this and then it'll gradually come down. We might just move this up just a little bit. I'm going to moisten it because the line can cut it, as we know. Okay, so just made that a little bit deeper. Now I'm going to give you a demo, Josh. We threw our bread out there before. You can do this type of fishing in just about any lake and river, although we've chosen a spot where there's no current. We're not in a channel where there's a tidal current. You're better off getting out of the tidal flow. We're just going to flick this out. Now that's roughly about where we threw that bread. So can you see that float bobbing like that? Yep, so when you're float fishing, one of the things I love about it is it's so visual. You're watching it all the time. You can see where your bait is. And after a while, like where we're Berleying, after a while you'll fish like this and the fish will be everywhere when you're throwing your bread in, and you'll get bites quite, well, usually as soon as you throw your line in, you get bites pretty quickly. Now we're going to throw some more burley in, which should attract more fish, and we should start to get some bites. Repetition is key when teaching, combined with practical application and patience. These things will help your child learn quickly and will make for an enjoyable experience. Now if you want to hold that, Josh, I'm going to get a bit more bread. Just hold it out flat, because you don't want to disturb the float. Like if you pull it, you'll move it. You just want to let it sit there and bob. And I'll put a bit more burley out in the water. So do you guys have any questions so far about what we're doing?
No, I think we understand what's going on and why.
Now, when you are doing this type of fishing, it means you have to watch your line. So it keeps you engaged. It's great for kids because it's so visual, and it is a really good way of fishing. This is how people fish for Luderick. But generally when they're fishing for Luderick, they use a variety of different types of floats, or you can use a float like this, and they use weed for bait. You would catch Luderick here because they inhabit the weedy areas, and we're right near a weedy area. So I'm going to just chuck this burley out towards, chuck it a bit further.
So when the fish take the bait, you'll actually see
That will disappear,
the sinker go under the water.
or it'll bob a couple of times
Yep.
violently.
And then
So
do we wait?
blackfish should go for this as well, like
Yep. Blackfish like
on
bread.
weed.
Yeah,
Yep.
they do. Yep.
And do you wait when it starts to grab it?
What happens is when the float goes under the water, you need to
Like a little.
but you need to keep your eye on your line. You don't want to disturb the float, but you don't want to have too much slack in your line, because when the float goes under, you need to strike
Yep.
to set the hook. Because what can happen, okay, stop, that's it. Because what can happen is if the fish pulls it under and you do nothing, it may hook itself, or it may let go of it and it just pops back up again. Give clear, simple instructions at each step and allow for as many mistakes as it takes to get results. Now what I'd like to do, Josh, is let you fish with that. Were you watching when I put that bread on?
Yep.
Because you can use some bread and rebait. If that little bit of breeze ends up washing it back in a little bit too close to the shore, like if it comes in another metre or so, you would want to wind it in and cast it out again.
Yep.
But generally when you're using bread for bait, it's usually only worth one cast, because just that action, it'll end up, it'll end up softening. Oh, look at that, there's something out there. I'm going to toss that out there. Oh, you're having a bite, look. Look, it's being pulled, strike. No, strike again. No, you would strike harder usually. All right, pull it in. Something was going on there.
Yeah.
Did you see it was actually moving sideways?
Yeah, yep. So your bait's probably gone then.
Yeah, won't have any bait. So I will bait that for you, Josh.
Yeah, it's
But that, so that, sometimes it goes under, sometimes it just goes sideways.
Yeah.
Make sure when you're casting your line that you're setting a good example by being out of the way of other people. Show and instruct your child to do the same. Now I'm going to toss it for you this time. Now,
Yep.
just a little lesson on safety, Josh. When there's a few people around, like if you're fishing with your family, you know how when you cast you always have like a backswing?
yeah.
You want to make sure that there's no one behind you when you're casting. It doesn't matter what type of fishing we're doing, we're always aware of everybody else that's around us, even when we're fishing off the beach. So we're just going to flick that out about maybe a fraction too far out. Now you can cast it next time. Now I want you to watch your float. If you can tell a fish has actually got it and is pulling it sideways or has pulled it under, wind up the slack and give it a decent strike. You're a little bit gentle
Yeah.
before. Okay, you hold that. And now I'm going to rig up, hold that down, otherwise you'll pull the float.
Yep.
So I want you to keep your eye on that, okay?
Yep.
All right, I'm going to get another one ready. Okay, who's next? Oh, she was quick.
Elizabeth, for your pretty green, apple green rod.
Yeah, I love the colour.
Pretty, isn't it?
It's a lovely colour. When you do this, just so if you guys ever want to do this, it's something that you do, you're just chilling out, you burley up, but once you get the fish going, you put a little bit, there's no rush, you're just enjoying the day, and after a while the fish can start, once they start coming around, it really starts to happen, but it could take half an hour or so, often, to attract the fish. And then once you've done that, once you've actually brought the fish to your location, it's just a matter of a little bit of burley every now and then. Now I'm going to put some bait on for Elizabeth. And we're going to chuck your line out, Elizabeth, and see if we can get one to grab it. Yeah. You ready? Okay, so I'm going to chuck this out for you. Alrighty. Now, have you been listening? Do you know what to do?
Yep.
Okay. Now remember, you can't make any mistakes with this, it's just fun. Children pick up a lot more than we realise, so be gentle and patient. Always remember the main goal, which is bringing your family closer and growing together. Now, Elizabeth, you're going to hold this and hold the rod down low like that. Don't lift it up. And you're going to watch your float. Look, it went under the water. You watch that, something was biting it. Let's wait. Your float, if it goes under the water, oh, something's having a go, look. Oh, something's trying to bite it. You can see how it's bumping around. Look at that, look at that. Whoa. Oh. One of you guys is going to catch a big one in a minute. When your float goes under the water, you've got to pull it quickly. That way you set the hook. So we'll put a bit more bread on. Can you see how that burley has attracted fish?
Yeah.
And we've got action out there that we didn't have before. Okay, so we're going to watch this, Elizabeth, and we want to see if the float actually starts moving or disappears. Okay, hold that. See, look at that. See how something's having a bit of a play with it?
Yep.
Hey, look, I can see something having a go at, look at Elizabeth's. See how it was bumping. You could see it's got like going like tap, tap, tap. Something was having a bite. See, look at that, look at that, look at that. Pull, oh, too late. Wait. When you see it moving, you know that the fish has to actually have it in its mouth. Yep. So that's when you need to set the hook, because if the float is stationary, you're not confident that the fish has got the hook in its mouth. But while it's moving, you know the fish has got it and it's dragging it along. So we might have to put a new bait on there, Elizabeth, because that definitely had a solid bite. Yeah, look at that. Strike.
Get it.
Oh, Josh has got one.
Get it, Josh. Pull it in.
Slowly. Just take your time.
Oh, yeah, there's something on there. Is there?
Just slowly, Josh.
Oh.
Pull him in. Whoa, he's going.
Oh, look at that,
That's-
Josh.
Wow, look at that mullet. What a cracker.
There you go.
Oh, well done.
That is a cracking mullet.
Oh, how lovely.
Look at that, we've burleyed up the mullet.
Yeah.
See how that works? It's so much fun. Seriously. There's actually a lot of fish out there now.
Yeah.
And it didn't take us all that long to attract them to our spot. So if you came here to a spot like this as a family, you just put half an hour or so in, bringing the fish around. You can have, that's actually an edible size mullet.
Uh-huh.
This is really not a hard way to spend an afternoon, and it's something the whole family can have fun doing together. As you can see, if you get a few of the basics right, it's really not difficult to catch your own food.
Come on, grab
There
it.
we go, I got
Watch
him.
out for its bangs.
This is a great way to catch mullet. It's a really good way to catch mullet. Now we're going to keep that mullet. Are we going to eat it or use it for bait? That's the question.
Ooh.
I want to eat
I
it.
don't know. We're going to need a couple more of his friends if we're
Yeah,
going
all
to
right.
eat.
Well then,
Depends on how
can you
many
take
we
that for me, please? Thank you. All right, I'm going to put. All right, Josh, you did well then. I'm going to throw a bit more
You can put
burley
it
out in the
net if
water.
you want.
Okay, here we go. Okay, stop winding. Right now, we're going to let Caleb have a go. Elizabeth.
Oh, there's a crab right there.
You having fun?
Hey, look at the crab, yeah. Crab is a great natural bait. Hold it flat like that, don't move the rod. We've got to watch your orange float, and we've got to wait for it to go under the water. Okay, let me put some bait on for Grace. Something was having a go at it. See, it's bobbing, something's playing with it. Okay, Grace, come here. Quickly, hold it down like that and watch the float. If the float goes under, disappears, that's when you strike. And then if you feel there's something on it, then you start winding.
Yep.
So just keep watching. See, something's touching it. When you see it start to bob a little bit, that means something's trying to eat it. And then when they actually put it all the way under, it means it's really got hold of it. It's going sideways, look at that. Now, oh, close. Perfect. Okay, it's probably taken the bait, so wind it in and we'll do it again. Just relax and enjoy the time together. Be thankful for small victories and give praise when your child does something well. All right, you ready? Keep your eye on it and remember what to do. Just watch it. You're getting a bite already, I think. Just watch it. Keep your eye on it. I'm hoping they haven't stolen the bait yet there. Look at them hitting the float. The fish are trying to, because the underside of the float is white. It looks like bread. So the fish try to attack the float. Yeah. Man, there's a lot out there. Look at that. I think they might have nicked the bait, Grace.
So I wind it in?
Yeah, wind it in. Yep. I think we've lost the bait. We're getting there's so many fish out there. We're on a bit of a time schedule, but it took about 20 minutes or so, but the water is alive with fish. And if we had more time to stay here, we'd undoubtedly catch a lot of fish. Keep your eye on it, because it's going to go. Any minute now, it's going to go. The fish is going to knock that bread off from underneath it and pull it under. Oh, pull quickly. Oh, that was quite a violent take. Okay, wind it in, we're going to put some more bread on. Now, I've just been in the process of producing a estuary fishing course which covers every aspect of estuary fishing and targets all of the main popular species of fish, which is available on my website, rogersfishing.com. So make sure that you go over to Rogers Fishing and check it out. So that's in process. Ooh.
Sorry. I had a fish there.
Did you have a bite, did you?
Yeah, I had a bite.
You got one?
You got me. No, she must have had a bite close to shore. So she's struck and the float's come flying in. Watch that, hold it, come quick, hold it. Watch the float. Oh, look at it go, see it's moving. Oh, look at the fish are going. If that float start, if it kind of look.
Oh, look at Grace's.
Oh, now! Oh, very well done though. That's exactly what you need to do. Sometimes you hook up, sometimes you don't. Okay, wind it in, you've got no bait left. Maybe Caleb, if you wind yours in, I'll put another bait on. And then we're going to move on to our next adventure. But I mean, this gives you a good introduction to this type of fishing. It's exactly the same fishing for blackfish. You watch the float, it goes under, you strike. Caleb, watch the float. That's it, hold it down, let's see what's, no, don't wind it, just hold it and wait. Now, strike! Oh no, too late. As soon as it disappears, you've got to whack it. All right, we've got time for one more bait. You know, I do this type of fishing off the rocks for drummer, and you're hooking fish, 3 kilo fish. I use exactly the same method, and they nearly pull you off the rocks. It's so much fun. Caleb, come here, mate. Okay, now you come stand. Just come here, come closer. Watch the float.
Wow, look at this.
And when it disappears completely, that's when you strike. Go! Oh, it was close. Did you see it pulled it really hard, didn't it? Oh.
I almost got it.
Man, that is
So once these guys get this and they can put their own bait on, it just keeps them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hours of entertainment there.
Yeah. Oh well, I think we've got to go.
That was cool. Now, wait.
But this has been a great example of, I've never actually fished this place before using this method, but when you employ these tactics, really it will work in any estuary. And we would catch, if we had the time, we'd catch plenty of fish today, and there's certainly heaps out there.